Welcome back to Two Wheel Tuesday. We've taken you out of Charlotte and into Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca here in Monterey, California. Now I'm with Jason Pridmore, of course, who races the AMA series for Michael Jordan Motorsports, and we're going to give you a detailed look at what it's like going around this racetrack on a motorcycle, although we're going to do it on feet. So, Jason, well, first of all, welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this for us.
Thanks very much for having me again. Yeah,
appreciate it. All right, so now we're standing on the front straightaway, what can be considered a straightaway anyway here at Mazda Raceway. Why don't you tell us what happens when you come under the bridge? What is the motorcycle doing? What gear are you in? How fast you going? What are the things you're looking for?
Well, for sure, as you start to crest this hill, Greg, after you come out of turn 11, which is probably one of the faster places, if not the fastest place on the track, obviously, this has gotten to be pretty bumpy coming up over the top of this hill. So the bike's going to move around a lot. There's a tree down there that I look at when I come up over the top. There's some pylons usually on the inside. And you got to let the bike move around a little bit over here. And I don't think that you're going to see the Motogp guys pinned over the top of this hill by any means. I know on our super bikes, we have to let off a little bit at the top and then get back into it a little bit on the back side of it. But the bike's going to want to move around quite a bit coming up over the top of this crest.
Yeah, down here is definitely one of my favorite sections of racetrack because double apex, you really get the motorcycle leaned over. Tell us then, you're coming down the hill, this is turn 2, what happens? How many downshifts? Where are you looking? Things like that.
Well, this is going to be one of the prime passing opportunities that you're going to see on the track, guys coming up over the top of the hill. Probably 2 or 3 downshifts coming down into here. Whenever I think of this turn, I think of Eddie Lawson. I think back in '88 500 Grand Prix. Double apex corner, usually they come in, clip this first little apex, let the bike just drift out a little bit there, and then hit the second apex on the way out. And then pretty much from that point for me, I just make a straight line right over to turn 3. I think that, you know, with the horsepower these guys are going to make, you're going to see those guys getting those things upright as quick as they can around Laguna. I think it's probably one of the more physically demanding tracks that they're going to see on the circuit. So it's going to be about getting it up off the edge of the tire and getting down to the next turn.
Yeah, it's true. Turn 3 is very flat. You get a nice drive out of 2, and then you come in here, Jason. Where is the apex point, and when you get to the apex, what exactly are you looking for?
Well, for me, I'm always looking for the outside tiger teeth and looking for my exit point here. And I think this is going to be a pretty big key in the race, getting your bike set up for these 2 really flat corners. Turn 3 and 4 are probably the most technical turns because you got this big retaining wall on the inside that it's very difficult to pick markers up earlier in the turn. So by the time you get to the apex, you're already thinking about getting the bike picked up. Looking at that outside edge of the tiger teeth is what I look for, just as a reminder to get the bike up off the edge of the tire. Shoot down to turn 4 underneath the bridge there, and kind of these 2 turns kind of do the same thing for me. I get that 1 marker that you see down at turn 4 there, and once it disappears out of my peripheral, I turn the bike in, and that always just seems to work really well as a visual mark for me.
What kind of gear are you in turn 5? And the second question is, why do you like it so much?
Second gear turn, it's cambered. And you know, I know that this is leading up to one of the most famous places in the world, up to the corkscrew. So the turn 5 climb starts you getting up towards turn 6, and then the big mountain that takes you right up to the corkscrew.
So when you're apexing turn 5, what are some of your reference markers you're looking at down this or up the hill straightaway?
Yeah, there's a little hut over there that they use for a sound booth on the track days here, and I like to be somewhere in the middle of the turn looking at that track booth, and it kind of the sound booth, excuse me, and it kind of gives me an idea of where the outside edge of the track is, and I'm just driving it up to the Mazda Raceway sign up underneath the bridge.
What you're looking at is the hillsides that surround Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca to give you an idea of just how high of an elevation that we're standing at. This is the climb that leads to the corkscrew. Now, Jason, the bikes move around a lot, do all kinds of funky stuff. Why don't you describe what it's like on a super bike to come up this big hill?
It's exhilarating. I mean, the first little bridge that you see back there, when you come up under there, the whole bike gets really light. And then some of the guys actually cut across the white tiger teeth that you see down there to kind of straight line it up here a little bit more once you get up here. Because it's very difficult to do a lot of trail braking up into this corner because of how much lean angle you have to actually use for this little kink to the right. Back in the day, you could kind of come up here. This was more like a straightaway, but the bikes have progressed and got so much faster that you're going to do a lot of braking up here. You want to do it as upright as you can.
So you brake at the top of the hill, you brake, and then the infamous corkscrew.
Right down it. It's very, very, very steep, and I know you're out of breath already, and we drove up here.
So here it is, the infamous corkscrew. Jason, what do you think? One of the coolest turns in road racing, or what?
Probably one of the most popular in American history, I would think. Everybody knew what the corkscrew was all about, and you know, it's probably one of the steepest places that we have in America as far as coming down through this real technical left-right section.
So when you come through this corner, what gear are you in on a super bike looking for?
We'll be probably second gear coming into it, and then maybe do a quick upshift going down. Some guys might go to first gear and do a quick upshift to second going down the hill here. What you're really looking for me is I try to be really patient going into the left here and then flicking it back to the right. I mean, you can see how steep it is. You know, we're just walking up this thing. It's amazing how steep it is. When you do your little short shift down the hill there, it's amazing how much speed you carry, and going down into Rainy Corner, which has obviously been completely revamped, moving the bridge and things.
Yeah, it's nearly like a 7 or 8 story drop here. It's really steep and it's a lot of fun. So after you get through the corkscrew successfully, then it's time to tackle Rainy Corner. That's where we're headed on a motorcycle coming down Rainy Corner. This is a very weird cambered kind of a corner, isn't it? It feels weird on the motorcycle. Can you describe what it's like to come down from the corkscrew through Rainy and heading to turn 10?
I show a lot of patience in this corner, Greg. I like to come down on the corkscrew and run it straight line all the way down. I think we've seen, Ben make passes here in the past in World Superbike, running underneath a lot of the guys, and show a lot of patience right in the middle of the corner, and then use a lot of exit down through here. I think at this point here, late in the race, you're thinking about the move that you can make on somebody in turn 11, and I think turn 9 can really set you up for that, how you cut into turn 10 and get on the back of somebody going into turn 11.
The run out of turn 10, come into turn 11, what happens? What are you doing physically on the bike?
Well, this is where it all gets set up. You come out of turn 10 and into the slowest corner on the track, 11. And this turn's caught out some really big names over the years for sure, and you want to try to get in here, be patient again getting in, but on that last lap, when you have somebody up your back, I mean, the start-finish line's not that far up. You just have to try to get the best drive you can out of here. But, get through here, and where it's really going to be important is getting the power on the ground and getting that run up over turn 1. This has always been one of my Achilles heels here at this place. I always seem to try to want to get in here too deep, and I always blow the exit because I'm still trying to get the bike slowed down. What I have found worked for me is just to be a little bit more patient coming into the turn. And realize that the exit here is everything. You want to try to get the bike picked up right as early as you can, get that center part of the tire on the ground and accelerate. And once you get in the throttle, you want to stay in it. I find myself sometimes being in and out of the throttle like a lot of the novice guys are, and that's something I've been working on in this turn for many years. But I think on the Motogp bikes, those guys have such great throttle control, such an uncanny ability to get those things up right quick that it's going to be fun watching them coming off here. And the sound from those bikes is just going to reverberate all the way back into the mountainside.
Well, Jason, thank you for this lap around.
Thanks so much.
We certainly hope that you enjoyed it, giving you a little bit more insight into what goes on here, because we know you're headed to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca to check out the first MotoGP event in 11 years.
Have a good time.